Last night, the Golden State Warriors played the Phoenix Suns. The headline of this game is Draymond Green assaulting Nurkic. So Draymond strikes again, but I'm not surprised. As in my previous video, I predicted that Draymond would do something stupid again after he got suspended for what he did with Gobert, that it was only a matter of time. The only thing that surprises me is that it happened this quickly. I think this is like for Draymond's second or third game back from suspension. So to be that deliberately stupid is kind of amazing for me. I didn't even think Draymond had it in him, and he's a pretty stupid guy. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But man, just to be that quick, that's like going to prison and then being released and the next day committing a crime. That just shows you how dumb Draymond is. So it doesn't shock me what he did. Excuse me, because I've kind of become desensitized to Draymond's actions now. I'm so used to him just doing dirty plays, assaulting people, and getting little to no punishment for it. So it's like I expect him to continue to do these types of things. That's the sad state of affairs that I think the current NBA is in, that no one can really stand up to this guy and give him a hard punishment, which he deserves, just to at least deter him to some degree from doing this crazy stuff. The thing that I would say that was also funny was how Draymond tried to spin it that it was an accident and it wasn't intentional, and that he wasn't really trying to harm Nurkic, which is a bunch of BS. If you watch the replays, and I watched it slow-mo several times to make sure I could be objective about it. When you watch it, you see Nurkic just touching Draymond on the hip, trying to defend it post-up, of Draymond trying to post him up. And Draymond then just gets frustrated and just throws his arm out at first, and then looks at Nurkic as he's turning around just to get a glance of where he's standing, and looks in a different direction and then punches him in the face. So I definitely believe this was calculated. He thought he could be smart about it, trying to make it look like an accident. But I think anybody with more than two brain cells can definitely tell this was not accidental. This was straight up intentional. The other thing I'll mention about this is Joe Dumars really needs to recuse himself of this, in the sense that he can't handle this giving out of the punishment to Draymond, because there's bias in this, because him and Draymond are good friends, as Stephen A. Smith said about a few weeks ago, that they're close friends, they keep in touch. So this guy definitely should not be deciding the punishment. Someone else should. But I doubt that's going to happen. So you got to factor that in when it comes to suspension, that Joe could be biased and give him another slap on the wrist type of deal. That's nothing. The other thing I'm going to point out, this is random, but former NFL player Dominique Foxworth had this dumb argument, but I think it's good to bring out the argument that he had about this, because I think this is what the pro Draymond supporters are going to use, and what anybody else is going to use to defend him. So according to Foxworth, that you can't suspend Draymond for a large suspension bigger than what he did last time to Gobert, because it's unfair and it's not going to deter Draymond from doing crazy things again. So there's no point of giving him a hard suspension, because it doesn't stop Draymond. So you can't do that. And you also have to protect future players, because what if someone else does something stupid like Draymond? You don't want them to get suspended for 20 games. So that was his dumb argument, which I think is straight up retarded. Just straight up. I can't hide how stupid that argument was. But this is what they're going to use to spin it, that other players shouldn't get suspended for the same amount of games Draymond's going to get. But if you give Draymond, 20 games, then other guys could get it too, which to me, again, is dumb. That was his argument. But I definitely see people pushing this argument to protect Draymond again. They'll use this heavily. I think at the rate things are going, I could laugh at this, but I feel that Draymond could stab someone with a knife on the court and he would get only like 2-3 games, or shoot someone with a gun, because these pro Draymond supporters would flip it by saying, like, well, it's not Draymond's fault that he shot the guy. He had to defend himself. He exercised his self-defense rights, and because he was just defending himself, it's not a big deal. You can't suspend him. Anybody in that situation has the right to defend themselves. So I would expect some dumb argument just like that. But that's the argument Foxworth threw out there, and I definitely feel that's an argument a lot of these idiotic supporters of his will throw out there to lighten the punishment. Now, he should get 25 games. I definitely believe he should. But I think he's probably going to get something like 8 games because the league has to look somewhat tough. Granted, that's very weak, but I'd say somewhat tough in the sense that they give him a higher amount of games to be suspended for than they did previously with Gobert to show that they're not letting him off that easily. But that's what I think is going to happen, unfortunately. So there you have it. Draymond strikes again, and we'll see what the punishment will be going forward.